Hello, and welcome to the Unleash Your Retirement podcast with your host, David Koren. I'm Wendy McConnell. Well, hey there, David. How are you today?
Fantastic. How about yourself, Wendy?
I'm doing just great. I am doing great. I see you have a guest with you today.
I do. I have a guest today. Her name is Jen Dowda. She's with Dowda Senior Consultants. And, I wanted to have her on to talk about what they do because, we've covered this process for our clients, for aging in place or, when do you consider moving into a assisted facility of some sort or into senior living accommodations and so forth. And we've had a couple of people on talking about this process. And I wanted to bring Jen on because her firm really, this is what they do across the board, start to finish, including in the Richmond area. They really know the market out there and how to help people in a way that's absolutely amazing. So we like to cover this for two reasons. One is, sometimes our clients actually are considering this because we have clients that have spouses that have been diagnosed with dementia. We have clients that are just getting to the point where they can't take care of properties anymore and that kind of thing. So we have clients that are in this market. And then the other reason we do this and want to have this coverage here is because a lot of our clients deal with parents in the same situation. So in fact, my wife and I are dealing with that right now with her parents. So it's something that's top of mind to me as well. And I understand that this is what a lot of our clients go through, and everybody does as part of this, retiring process. You retire and then eventually, you have a wonderful time in retirement, let's say 20 or 30 years, let's hope. But then, at some point the body decides, okay, it's going to slow down and it's time to slow down. And what do you do in those situations? And it's scary. That's the big thing. It's really scary. So I asked Jen to come on and speak with us today and talk a little bit about, what they do at Dowda Senior Consulting, because, I don't want to put words in your mouth but I just really, really do. I'm impressed with all of what you're doing over there. So why don't you just tell everybody about your process and, if we were to send somebody who would talk to you, what would happen, that kind of thing.
Okay. Thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it. Everybody that we meet with, we just want to hear their story. It's kind of like we've got 100 tools in our tool belt, and we need to hear what your story is so that we can pull out the appropriate tools. Our initial tagline when we started was helping you take the next step, because that, as you know, then you deal with this and then something changes and then it's something different and then it changes and you're doing something different. So we stay with our families forever. We kind of ask them, what are your goals? What are your concerns? What are the things that you want to tell us? And we listen to their story. If there's adult children involved, spouses, siblings, whoever it is, everybody kind of getting on the same page and figuring out what kind of plan can we make. If there's dementia involved, we have a full dementia team. We have 4 different consultants who can help support. We just, whatever it is, whatever the situation is, we will find a solution. If it's something that we've never dealt with before, then we'll go out and find whatever we need to make it happen.
So you guys really do everything across the board, right? In terms of, so if a client says, well, I don't know if this senior living stuff's for me or not, maybe I just want to stay in the home, but I'm willing to look, what are the advantages, disadvantages there, people that are considering, stay at home or go to assisted living or some form of senior type care.
Absolutely. And I think the vast majority of people, including myself, would like to stay in their home. And so we'd love to make that happen. And that's where the majority of our clients, that's what they're doing. If somebody does have to move, that's, we want to be a part of that and make that smooth. But most people do want to stay in their home. Just this morning, I was touring with a woman who is in her home. Her husband has said, I'm not moving. She doesn't have any children of her own and so wants to set something in place. So we're going to look at a bunch of different communities. We're going to get on a couple wait lists, and then we're just going to be part of her life. And if ever she needs to move, she needs different support brought in the home, whatever it is, we'll be there for her.
So really, it's you listen to the story and say, okay, what do these folks need? So let's say they let's say that lady does need to move. Can you help her with that process? What would be involved with that?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yep, absolutely. So kind of, touring the different communities, like a couple places that we're going to see, they've got 2 or 3 year wait lists for a 2-bedroom apartment, and she for sure wants a 2-bedroom. So we want to get on those wait lists to prepare. And then if and when she does need to move, we're completely part of that entire process. We partner with lots of amazing partners in Richmond who do the things that we don't do, but then we can partner with them and form a team. We call it our cocoon of care. Everyone that we bring in around our client are people that we know personally and trust. And then moving into the community, another big piece of what we do once somebody's moved in is that we can advocate for them. Lots of adult children are nervous to speak up on behalf of their parents in a community because they think that's going to, somebody's going to take it out on them, and they can tell us. And because we have lots of folks living in every community, we can go and kind of anonymously say, hey, one of our clients has this issue. We'd love to address this. We can be there with you. And we can also partner with the community to help them do what they do better. So our tagline now is for seniors for Richmond for good. We want to change the way that folks age in Richmond. That's our ultimate mission. And so we want to support all of the people who are in this industry and all of the families who are living this.
So what are some of the considerations that people look at when they're looking at the various communities? Because I know there's all types, there's these ones that you put a lump sum deposit down, and there's some that you can stay in for life, guaranteed, even if you run out of money. What are some of the key things that people look for and consider when they're looking at different solutions?
Mm-hmm. So I think in general, most people tend to think there's kind of 2 options. One is what's called the Continuing Care Retirement Community, the CCRC. There's 6 of those in Richmond. So, Westminster, Canterbury, Cedarfield, the kind where, like you said, you put the big lump sum down at the beginning, you age through the process. People kind of think there's that. And then there's, a horrible nursing home that we don't ever want to go to. So if I can't afford that, or I don't want to move to that type of place, then I'll just, stick my head in the sand and hope that I don't need anything. The great news is, and this is what makes people feel so great, and we feel like Santa every time we meet with somebody, is there's tons of different options. And so in the CCRC type of model, you do have to move in when you're independent. You still need to be independent really for the next couple of years. So sometimes what happens is people wait and then they're not completely independent,
Right.
or they don't want to move when they're independent. Only 20% of people need to move to assisted living. So just because you're getting older doesn't mean you're going to eventually have to move into assisted living. So if you'd like to stay in your home, what we want to do is then set up a backup plan. If you don't want to move to a CCRC, then we want to set up some plans because nobody knows what's going to happen the next day. There are places where you can live independently. The place I toured this morning, you can move into an apartment completely independently. If at any point you need some assistance in that same apartment, you can transition over to assisted living and stay there. So there are people who are living there independently right next door to somebody who's assisted living. Hospice can be brought in. Like, you can live out the rest of your life there, but you can move in at any point, and you can always just give a 30-day notice to leave, and all you're doing is paying monthly rent. And you could live together as a couple. One of you might be independent and one needs care, but you could be there together. So there's so many options out there, and people just don't know they exist. So we love to sit down and just be able to tell them all of the things so that they know, from an objective person who's trying to hear their needs rather than trying to sell them anything.
So there's monthly pay type places. That sounds like what you're talking about there. And I know there are a lot of those in the Richmond market too. And a lot of people don't realize that because a lot of people do think it's just CCRs and that's it,
Exactly.
And that's not the case.
Right.
And you're right. The other thing is people do tend to wait because they just stay at home until they have to have care. That's really it's just required. And a lot of times I'm dealing with the adult children who are dealing with their parents, and I've got a couple of situations like that right now that they're going through that process. So it's not an easy process.
It's not. And I think another thing that people assume is that if you bring care into the home, it's not going to be great. Because I think historically, there are just a lot of people who have had really bad experiences with care being brought in. We partner with a couple different home care companies that are phenomenal. You don't have the experience where just nobody shows up. You don't have the experience where they're just not even really paying attention to your parents or to you. So I think they're just, there's technology advances, there's new things, coming around every single day. And we're always looking for them and then able to share them with our clients so that they can meet their goals.
And I can speak for my wife and myself too, because it is a nightmare trying to navigate this stuff. It can be really daunting.
Absolutely. And because each situation is so different, like if you have children, then you and all your friends, you're all having kids at the same time. You can help each other. You're all, somebody's teething, like it's similar. Even, if you're a family and maybe you're dealing with your wife's parents, then if one day you're dealing with your parents, it's going to be totally different, and everybody's dealing with different things. So you can't even really have that sense of community that you can often have in other areas of life because each situation is so unique. And like I said, can change from day to day. So that's why for us, we have our whole team to be able to support, and so that you don't feel alone and don't feel overwhelmed.
Yeah, my wife's been very fortunate in her experience because she's had her siblings to help with the process. And they have these team calls, so they have like a team that they all have different jobs that they have to do to take, because both of her parents are in different facilities, one memory care, one just for physical reasons. And they're in different facilities.
Yeah.
So it's a challenge for the family to have to deal with all of that.
Sure. And even that, like I was saying, technology, we just recently partnered with a company called Alula, A-L-U-L-A, that it's amazing. It's basically kind of a platform for all of that communication to take place. And then can kind of brings in some AI capability.
Really?
It's incredible. We're going to be
That's
using
cool.
it with all of our clients. We highly recommend it.
Wow.
So all new things all the time that we get really excited about. So definitely check that out.
Well, that's huge. That's really helpful because it is a daunting process to have. Now, what about so a lot of times we run into situations where the big daunting scary thing is cleaning out that basement and attic. It's just like
Stuff.
it's all that stuff
Yeah.
that accumulated, and they still have stuff from their kids in the house, and I know I do too. So, what do you advise? How do you help people through that process, or do you have a resource for that too?
And absolutely. I was with a family on Friday. Dad's in rehab, mom's at home, but dad was mom's caregiver, so now we're really needing to move kind of quickly. And mom and dad keep talking about their things, and you can tell the kids are just getting increasingly frustrated because they're like, that's not what matters. And I had to kind of lean aside and say, but to them, that is what matters. Like, we do have to deal with that. So there's several partners that we have that are amazing who will come in, sit, because sometimes you need to tell the story before you let go of that, glass that you have, right? You need to talk about it, tell a story. So they'll have two people come in so that one can be talking about the stories and the other one can be, kind of busy doing all the work. There are moving companies there's so many resources that are really tailored toward seniors. A great book that we would recommend is called How to Say It to Seniors. Kind of deals with that. Like, why, when I ask you a question about how your knee feels, are you telling me about something you did when you were 20? Like, what, we need to get where we're going, and just how important it is to really listen to those stories and allow the seniors to tell you what they want to tell you. It's really important.
Yeah, that's so true. My Uncle William, he passed away about a year ago, and before he passed away, he wrote an entire book of just his stories, his memoirs, if you will, and he's filled it with pictures, and his granddaughter helped him do it, and he had that, and his daughter went and had it bound.
Yes.
And now I've got that book at home. It's wonderful because my uncle was also obviously very involved with my life. So It was a lot of that is my family history in there. So
Love that.
it was really very, very cool. And I was really happy that he did that. But it's the stories. You're right. And when I went to see him before he passed, every time I went to see him, I got stories.
So great. We have a photographer that just moved to town who does kind of a day in the life stories for folks, younger families, but he's also doing them for seniors, and they're just beautiful. It's a gift that you can't ever get back, right? So having that story is so priceless.
So tell me about why you do this, because this is wonderful, wonderful from experience. I know how important this work is. Why what motivated you, and why are you doing this for families out there? Because it's a huge help.
Sure, absolutely. So there are probably about a dozen different agencies in Richmond that help with placements, just people moving to assisted living, memory care. And I worked for one of them for about 7 years, just doing the tours, like picking up the family and taking them to see the communities. And over time, I just kind of grew in my desire to want to do more and realizing not everybody wants to move. Not everybody, this isn't what everyone needs. They don't need placement. And so literally the month before COVID hit, I said, I'm just going to go on my own and I'm just going to help a couple people do all of the things. That was my initial business model. I had a few other things. I was teaching tennis and working with kids with special needs. And I just thought I'm going to have a few families and I'm going to do all of the things for them. And then we now have, I think, 15 people on our team, and that's not how it's turned out. But because as we started helping families, we found out, oh gosh, this really is something that people need. And the more I operated in this space, the more that I saw there are some really great partners out there. And if we can all group together, we can really change Richmond. We really believe that. And so, and we've had, these great partnerships with financial planners because, we need to find people who trust. We want them to tell their clients, we trust these people. And then together, now we're just someone else who's on their team, right? You're still on their team. Now we are, and their children are, or whatever. And they can feel the sense of it's going to be okay because I have people who are working with and for me.
Come to think of it, that is what advisors do.
Mm-hmm.
We are we work with the attorneys, we work with the CPAs.
Absolutely.
And any financial question, which this is a big financial question too for people. They come to us and they, this is the situation. What can we do? Where can we go? Have you seen this before? Yeah. And so, yes, I like to have lots of resources
absolutely
available for this issue because it does come up and it is so important. It's life-changing when I really think about it because families, it is so stressful for the entire family, especially the adult children that are trying to take care of the parent and get the parent placed. It's so stressful for them and challenging. So the more help they can get, the better.
Yep.
And I know my wife and the kid, they did reach out to, of course, her family's up in Pennsylvania and New Jersey. So not in the Richmond market. So she did reach out to people that did this type of work up there for some help. And she did get help, which was wonderful.
Yep.
She was able to find 2 facilities up there, one in Pennsylvania, one in New Jersey that worked very nicely. So it was,
and it's important to, we keep our kind of finger on the pulse of the landscape as well, because sometimes people will say, oh, you should go here. My grandmother lived there and it was great. And things are constantly changing. And at any point we can tell you who's the chef in that community, who's, the new activity assistant, what do people love? What do people not love? We have a whole care team who visits folks on their birthday. They bring them baked goods. When I first started, again, it was just me, and I brought chocolate chip cookies everywhere I went, and I met with clients and I visited them on their birthdays. And so as we've grown, I need people to do that. So at this point we have 4 people on our care team who are doing that. And that way, if the daughter's living in California and mom calls and says she's having a bad day, they can call us and say, hey, could you just go give mom a hug? And we can. So we're available whenever they need it.
Well, I hope there's other, I don't know if this model is out there anywhere else in other markets, but I would hope that it would spread this concept.
That's what we're hoping. I don't think it is anywhere at this point. We're hoping to show people that it's successful and they can do it, and that they can, we've built this on our relationships. I've lived here for, a long time, and my husband's a pastor and I have 4 kids, and we just know a lot of people. And so people trusted me and knew, that's why it's called Dowda Senior Consultants, because we wanted them to know, and this is my family's business and we're not going away. We're not going to sell. We're not going to go anywhere. But I think other people in other cities with their own relationships in those cities, I think could see this. And that's what we're hoping that they'll do it.
Well, who knows? Somebody might see this and say, hey, call you up and say, how did you do this? Because I'm in a similar situation. I've got stuff going on. Yes. So I hope it spreads because it is such a vital and important thing that we're doing. And being able to go in and hear their stories and, have a, compassionate group of people.
Mm-hmm. And people always want to know, how is this free?
Yeah.
Because they can't believe it's free. So I always want to share that with people. If somebody does move into a senior living community, that senior living community pays us a referral fee. So that's kind of the business model that all of probably the folks your wife worked with. So they get paid that referral fee, and it's very helpful. What we've chosen to do is kind of a different model where it's almost like a self-funding nonprofit. So the money we get from those placements is what covers the rest of what we do. So we're able to help lots and lots of people do things in home that we don't get paid for because we've chosen to use the profits from people moving into the communities to pay for the rest of that.
Yeah, and you do a lot.
We do.
I mean, beyond the just the actual, talking with them and learning. I think most of your folks are at home,
Mm-hmm.
And I think don't you have like a get together for folks every month or something? I think I heard.
Yeah, so we realized a lot of the things that we do are just based on needs that we see. So we were with a lot of different couples who started getting socially isolated because one of them was walking with dementia and it was too hard to be out in public with friends. So we have dementia date nights where we say dementia is not invited. We don't talk about it. Nobody has any idea that it's just not a bunch of folks getting together. It's usually about 14 or 15 couples, very high end. We have our Valentine's one coming up on February 13th. If anyone wants to join, Mosaic is catering. Then we have, drinks, we have dancing. We're getting everybody's kind of their couple song from them. We have a DJ who's going to play all the songs so we can dance. And we just come, and then that way it's a safe space. So if you come in and your husband takes something off of someone else's plate, nobody cares. You can just relax and know that it's a safe place to be. And so we love those. And then once a year, we have an event called Night to Remember. It is a huge gala. It's a fundraiser for the Alzheimer's Association. It'll be in September. And, same thing, really high-end, nice food, drinks, dancing, big band. But we just want to have places because if all you're doing is going to the doctor and just trying to stay alive, that's not living. You need to have things that you're looking forward to, that you love. We want to bring joy and laughter and purpose into people's lives. And that just is really what drives everything that we do.
Wow. I'm so impressed with what you guys are doing, believe in it so much. And, I can't thank you enough for coming and talking about this here today, and sharing this story. And, to anybody listening, this is a tremendous service. So if you're in the Richmond community and you've got issues relative to, someone in your family, whether it's a spouse or a parent or what have you, you can call Dowda and talk to them and find out what your options are and get direction and get the much needed help, because they have the experience and the team there that knows this and has been through just about every story you could bring in the door, right? And that's beautiful. I just think it's beautiful.
Well, thank you. We're doing everything that we can to just spread the word. We don't want anyone we don't want you to walk this journey alone, and we're here. So there's, I'm like, we could be like you crops or everybody. I want everyone to know that we're here so that when anyone gets to this place, they'll call us and not do this alone.
So Jen, how do people get in touch with you at Dowda?
Yeah. So we've got a website on there. There's an intake number that we have somebody who's answering the phone all the time. 234-3627. And you can just call us and we would love to help.
And that's in the 804,
Yes,
804-234-3627.
Yes.
So, well, wonderful. I really appreciate having you today.
Really appreciate you having me on. It's so kind of you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
And I hope that a lot of people hear this so
too.
that they can take this out and do something with it. So,
David, how do people get in touch with you if they have more questions?
if they have more questions from me, then they can go to our website, rvawealthmanagement.com. Schedule a 20-minute Ask Anything or a free consult. They're all free. The consultations on there are free. So feel free to click and set up some time to talk, and we'd love to answer any questions anybody might have, including, what's the impact of the tariffs and, whatever that might be as we get off of this topic, because I've already had my calls today. So.
All right. Well, thank you both. And thank you for listening today. Please like, follow, and share this podcast with your friends. Until next time.
Thank you for listening to the Unleash Your Retirement podcast. Click the follow button to be notified when new episodes become available. Visit our website at www.rvawealthmanagement.com or give us a call at 804-497-2100. And don't forget to click the follow button to be notified when new episodes become available. The information covered and posted represents the views and opinions of the guest and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of RVA Wealth Management. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional investing advice. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified financial service provider with any questions you may have regarding your investment planning.
Content here is for illustrative purposes and general information only. It is not legal, tax, or individualized financial advice, nor is it a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold any specific security or engage in any specific trading strategy. Results will vary. Past performance is no indication of future results or success. Market conditions change continuously. This commentary reflects the personal opinions, viewpoints, and analysis of RVA Wealth Management. It does not necessarily represent those of RFG Advisory, Private Client Services, their clients, or their employees. This commentary should not be regarded as a description of advisory services provided by RVA Wealth Management or RFG Advisory, or performance returns of any client. The views reflected in the commentary are subject to change at any time without notice. Securities offered by registered representatives of Private Client Services member FINRA SIPC. Advisory services offered by investment advisory representatives of RFG Advisory, a registered investment advisor. Private Client Services, RVA Wealth Management, and RFG Advisory are unaffiliated entities. Advisory services are only offered to clients or prospective clients where RFG Advisory and its representatives are properly licensed or exempt from licensure. No advisory services may be rendered by RFG Advisory unless a client agreement is in place.